Your bag fits the airline's size chart. It's listed as approved on the website. You've flown with it before. And yet, at the gate, you hear this: "Sir, we need to charge you for that bag." No warning, no measurement, just a fee, right before boarding. This isn't about oversized bags, and it's not because you missed a rule. In 2026, airlines didn't just change policies, they changed how those policies are enforced. Today, I'll show you why perfectly legal carry-on bags are getting flagged, what gate agents are actually looking at, and what to do when they try to charge you anyway, especially on international flights. If you think following the rules is enough, this is the video you need to watch. If you've flown recently, you may have noticed something feels different at the gate. Not louder announcements, not new signs, but more people being stopped, quietly, right before boarding. What's happening in 2026 isn't a sudden wave of oversized bags. Most travelers being pulled aside are using carry-ons that used to be fine. They fit the size charts, they flew last year without issues. Some have even been on dozens of flights with the exact same bag. Yet now, the interaction looks like this: a quick glance, a pause, and a request to step aside. No measuring tape, no argument, just a fee or a forced gate check. From the outside, it looks random, but it isn't happening evenly across the plane. Gate agents aren't stopping everyone, they're stopping specific passengers. Often in the same boarding groups, with similar-looking bags, at the same point in the boarding process. That pattern is new. In previous years, enforcement was inconsistent and largely reactive. In 2026, it's more systematic, and far more subtle. By the time you're at the podium, a decision may already have been made. This is also why arguments at the gate rarely work anymore. Travelers defend themselves using the airline's website rules, assuming the problem is size or weight. But that's no longer the full picture. To understand why approved bags are still getting charged, you have to stop thinking in terms of published policies, and start looking at how decisions are actually made during boarding. That difference is where the fees begin. Most travelers believe there is one clear set of carry-on rules, the ones listed on the airline's website. Size limits, weight limits, one carry-on, one personal item. That's the rule everyone prepares for, and that's the rule most people follow. The problem is that, in practice, airlines operate with two different rule sets. The first is the public rule. This is what you see online when you book your ticket. It tells you what's allowed in theory and what your bag should measure in ideal conditions. The second is the enforcement rule. This is what gate agents actually use during boarding. These two are not the same, and they were never designed to be. Public rules exist to inform passengers. Enforcement rules exist to manage boarding speed, overhead bin space, and operational pressure at the gate. They are internal, situational, and highly dependent on what's happening in that exact moment. In 2026, this gap matters more than ever. Airlines face tighter boarding time targets and fewer delays tolerated by regulators and airports. As a result, enforcement decisions are made quickly, with incomplete information, and often before a bag is ever measured. This is why travelers feel confused. They are defending themselves with the wrong rulebook. When a gate agent stops you, they are rarely checking whether your bag matches the website dimensions. They are assessing whether your bag will slow boarding, cause friction in the aisle, or compete for limited bin space. That's also why two identical bags can have completely different outcomes. One passenger boards without issue. Another, standing just a few steps behind, gets charged. The rule didn't change for one of them, the context did. And understanding that difference is the key to everything that follows. One of the most frustrating parts of gate enforcement in 2026 is how inconsistent it feels. You watch passenger after passenger walk by with similar bags, and nothing happens. Then suddenly, you're the one asked to step aside. This is where most travelers assume bad luck. But the pattern is more predictable than it looks. Gate agents are not scanning the entire line equally. Their attention is focused on specific moments and specific signals. Timing is one of the biggest factors. Late boarding groups face far more scrutiny than early ones. By that point, overhead bins are filling up, pressure is higher, and tolerance drops fast. The same bag that passes unnoticed early can become a problem minutes later. Bag appearance matters just as much. Not size on paper, but how large a bag looks in motion. Bulging pockets, rigid shells, stacked items, or awkward shapes draw attention instantly. A bag that appears difficult to stow becomes a potential delay in the agent's mind. Behavior also plays a role. Passengers juggling items, stopping at the podium, or hesitating during boarding unintentionally flag themselves. Confidence and smooth movement signal low risk. Uncertainty does the opposite. This is why enforcement feels selective. Agents are filtering for friction, not rule breakers. Two travelers can carry the same approved bag. One boards calmly, early, with nothing in their hands. The other arrives late, holding extra items, and looks unsure. Only one gets stopped. In 2026, carry-on enforcement isn't about fairness or consistency. It's about speed, space, and minimizing disruption in real time. Once you understand that, the system starts to make sense, and more importantly, it becomes possible to avoid being singled out. By the time most travelers reach the gate, they're still thinking about size. Dimensions, inches, whether their bag technically fits in the sizer. But in 2026, that's rarely what triggers attention. What actually gets bags flagged is how they present, not what the measurements say. Gate enforcement has shifted away from static checks and toward visual assessment. Agents are trained to identify anything that looks likely to cause friction during boarding, before it becomes a problem in the aisle. This is why two bags with identical dimensions can be treated completely differently. Rigid, hard-shell carry-ons tend to draw more scrutiny. Their shape is fixed, their edges are sharp, and any bulge is immediately visible. Soft-sided bags, on the other hand, compress naturally. They look smaller in motion, even when they carry the same volume. External features matter as well. Raised pockets, protruding handles, stacked attachments, or items clipped to the outside all signal risk. From the gate agent's perspective, these are signs the bag won't slide easily into a crowded bin. Movement plays a role too. A bag that rolls smoothly and stays close to the body attracts far less attention than one that swings, tilts, or requires constant adjustment. Anything that looks awkward suggests a delay waiting to happen. This is where many travelers get it wrong. They focus on passing a size test that may never happen, while overlooking the visual cues that actually drive enforcement decisions. In 2026, being approved on paper isn't enough. What matters is whether your bag looks easy, fast, and forgettable at the gate. The less your bag stands out, the less likely it is to be questioned, and that principle becomes even more important once you understand which bag designs consistently avoid attention. Once you understand how bags actually get flagged, the idea of a perfect carry-on changes completely. In 2026, the best bag isn't the one with the most features or the hardest shell. It's the one that blends in. The goal is not to look compliant on paper, but to look unremarkable in motion. Bags that attract the least attention tend to share a few traits. They're soft-sided, flexible, and able to compress without resistance. When overhead bins start filling up, these bags adapt easily, instead of fighting for space. Shape matters more than capacity. Rounded edges and smooth surfaces reduce visual bulk. A bag with clean lines looks smaller than one with sharp corners, even if the internal volume is similar. Minimal external pockets help as well. The more seams, zippers, and layers a bag has, the more it signals complexity. Weight distribution is another quiet factor. Bags that carry weight low and close to the wheels or back remain stable as you walk. They don't tilt, swing, or pull away from your body. That stability reads as control, and control reads as speed. This is why flashy designs often backfire. Bold colors, rigid frames, or aggressively structured bags draw the eye, especially at the gate. Neutral tones and understated profiles pass through with far less scrutiny. Importantly, none of this requires buying a smaller bag. It's about choosing one that looks cooperative rather than competitive. In 2026, the carry-on that survives the gate isn't the one that proves it's allowed. It's the one that never gives anyone a reason to wonder. And once you pair the right bag with the right packing approach, the chances of being stopped drop even further. Even with the right bag, packing is where many travelers unknowingly undo themselves. In 2026, it's not just what you pack, it's where and how you pack it. The biggest mistake is concentrating weight at the top or edges of a carry-on. That's what creates visible bulges, uneven shapes, and awkward movement. From a distance, those signs suggest a bag that's overfilled, even when it isn't. The safest approach is to keep the carry-on visually light. Clothing, soft layers, and compressible items belong there. Anything dense or rigid should be moved elsewhere whenever possible. This is why personal items matter more than most people realize. They're rarely weighed, and they sit under the seat, out of sight during boarding. Placing heavier items there keeps your carry-on looking relaxed and compliant at the gate. How you handle the bag also makes a difference. A carry-on that rolls smoothly, stays upright, and doesn't require constant adjustment sends a clear signal: no delay, no problem. In contrast, bags that need to be lifted, rebalanced, or dragged immediately draw attention. Timing matters too. Packing for easy access helps you move through boarding without stopping. No digging, no rearranging, no visible struggle. The faster and calmer you move, the less reason anyone has to look twice. Many travelers assume enforcement begins with a scale or a sizer. In reality, the decision often happens seconds earlier, based on appearance alone. In 2026, smart packing isn't about maximizing space, it's about minimizing suspicion. And even when everything is done right, there are moments when you're still challenged. When that happens, knowing what to say, and what to ask for, makes all the difference. Even when you've done everything right, there are moments when a gate agent still stops you. This is where most travelers make the situation worse, not better. The instinct is to argue, to explain that the bag is approved, to point at the website or raise your voice. That approach almost never works. In 2026, enforcement decisions are made quickly, under pressure. Escalation slows boarding, and anything that slows boarding works against you. The goal is to shift the interaction from confrontation to procedure. Stay calm, lower your voice, and ask one simple question: can you show me the official size checker so I can confirm? This does two things. First, it moves the decision away from opinion and back toward a physical standard. Second, it buys time, and time matters. In many gates, the checker isn't nearby or immediately available. When that happens, agents often choose the fastest resolution, which is letting you board. If a checker is available and your bag is close, don't argue, adjust instead. Remove a jacket. Unzip an expansion. Flatten the top. Small changes are often enough to pass a quick check. On international flights, there's another overlooked detail. If your ticket includes a free checked bag and you're not in basic economy, remind the agent, politely. In many cases, that alone resolves the issue without a fee. Europe adds an extra layer of pressure in 2026. Gate areas are tighter, boarding windows are shorter, and tolerance is lower. That makes calm, procedural responses even more important. The travelers who avoid charges aren't the loudest or the most confident. They're the ones who know how to slow the moment down just enough to let the system work in their favor. And once you understand it, the gate stops feeling like a gamble. Air travel in 2026 isn't harder because the rules changed, it's harder because enforcement did. If this helped you understand why approved bags still get charged, there are a few more things you'll want to know before your next flight. We'll break those down in upcoming videos, so if you want to stay ahead of airport changes, consider subscribing. And if this has happened to you, share your experience in the comments.